Bottom Line Sports Talk. I'm George Abraham. You know Albert Campman. Albert, we're going to take a look back today at the year's big stories in sports. Now, Albert, the only trouble with doing this, some of them aren't pleasant.
Yeah, well, 2012 just hit that way, and as we head into the Christmas season, and we're looking for all the jovial and joyful things, guys, it wasn't that way in sports this year, and we kick it off with the one that puts the blur and puts the black on everything out there, the Penn State scandal.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Now, first of all, it's a child sex abuse scandal, and to this day, we probably will never know what we need to know, if for no other reason, the death of Joe Paterno.
Yeah, and he was right in the middle of it. You're talking about a guy that was a legend to everybody in the game of football, and then goes out with his statue being ripped down because of the things that went on behind the scenes that we will never know.
Let's talk about that. It's Jerry Sandusky. He's his former coordinator, whose crimes, I mean, he was guilty on 45 of 48 counts. He was sentenced to 60 years in prison. He will not see the light of day again. Now, the only trouble is the sentence doesn't give the type of closure, because there are people like Franco Harris, and like you have some friends just like that,
yes,
that they don't believe that Joe would knowingly have this knowledge and stand by, because to imply he did so, which is what most people out of state college believe, by the way, would be to say that he put the success of the football program ahead of the vulnerability of those kids.
Many of my friends go past that. They say, okay, I can understand that. Their big thing is due process, and I do agree with them on that. The NCAA was backed into a corner with the media, backed into the corner, and said, okay, we're going to just say guilty to everybody at Penn State before any juries even looked at any evidence. They had no chance to get on the stand. That's my negative to it. I really believe everything was done, and Sandusky's a monster, but the court system was not run the way it normally
They
is.
had no due process.
Yes,
the NCAA does not care if you have due process.
They didn't care one bit.
Now, Sandusky had due process.
Oh, he did.
Right.
Oh, yeah, not Sandusky.
Okay.
I'm talking about
I understand.
and
Well, they're going to get there.
But see, they gave them all the sanctions without.
Oh, yeah, the school got none.
Without ever even looking.
The NCAA is not court of law.
No.
Now, a $60 million fine, a 4-year bowl ban, scholarship reductions. I think they thought they brought them to their knees, but we have to give Bill O'Brien his due here.
And there's the positive. This was a very negative. This is the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of sports. But now you're looking at a positive, where the seniors at Penn State University and Bill O'Brien will go down in Penn State lore as someone who made this football and maybe Penn State University stay alive. Because, George, what a year they had, starting 0-2 and coming back and going 8-4.
Like someone said the other day to me, who did beat that was any good? I said, Wisconsin.
But winning or losing who they beat has nothing to do with it. It's just getting a team on the field,
and he did,
that play. You saw McGloin get 1,000 times better.
Yes.
You saw the defense play well all year. You saw fans who were really questioning, Penn State loyal fans, thinking, well, if we win 3 games, we'll be happy.
Right.
End up with 8 wins. That's amazing.
Well, kids like Marty, the legacy kids,
yes,
I think had a lot to do with that. This kid was an inspirational leader. Shame he got hurt the last game there. But in all truth, these guys held this together. It's going to be interesting to see. They just recruited the second best JUCO quarterback in the country. I think what he's decided to do is just put a hole in the dam for 2 years, then sell that 4th year's class on the fact I can redshirt you and we're back to normal.
And one of the things he's done, very smart, the recruits of 2013, if you come into school early, right now you come into spring, they go on the recruits of 2012. So he has a lot of kids trying to come in early. So now they go on to the last year's recruit because he lost a lot of kids. Great idea. So he's out thinking a little bit. He's outsmarting the NCAA.
Remember, I just read where somebody the other day was coming in early, and I wonder why.
That's why, yes.
Great point. All right, our number 2 story. This is a story, Albert, that I struggle with, because when I look at all the good the man has done, we're talking about Lance Armstrong. Yes. I don't think there's a soul, Albert, deep down in that believes he didn't do something.
Well, and I was naive enough to think he didn't, but now I know the facts, and that's what you go by. The facts point to everything that all the witnesses brought in all said the same thing.
No, was he dope? But it's naive maybe, but as it is, you're that type of person. You want to think he was clean, but when he dominated the dirtiest sport in the world, you probably should have known, but you didn't want to believe because he's done so much good with the yellow bands and all.
Now we'll take that. That's another big negative. 2012. Lance Armstrong, a hero among little kids who turned the tilt and tilted it this way and said, "Oh, he did it." But George beat cancer himself.
Yes.
And then not only beat it, raised millions,
hundreds of millions.
Yeah, hundreds of millions for that cause. We all have, and George knows how I feel, we all have our own inadequacies. This one, he turned his negative into a positive by raising money for kids, so he at least did something positive with what he did.
USADA, which is the doping agency, anti-doping agency, vacated all 7 of his
they had to.
Tour de France's, and also they basically, all his sponsors took steps away to get away from. They had no trouble riding him when he was famous, but when he got thrown into the mud, Nike was quick to back away. So were some of the others.
Right down the
How do you
line.
feel about that?
They had to.
So you don't blame them?
No, I can't. I really can't. Their job is to make their businesses work and have a lot of people working for them. And if they don't do it right, people will just say, "Hey, wait a minute. Why is he still involved with this company?"
You don't see loyalty in any way.
Yeah, not in that one.
No, there's probably a two-way street. He probably made plenty of money for them when he was doing it.
He made money off of them too. Yeah. So I see that had to be done.
Okay.
I think anybody in that sports field who does something like that, they have to be left off of anything involved with endorsement.
And this Live Strong charity, I think they even took his name off the doors and such. Although I've heard some people say they wouldn't be surprised if he was involved in some way, but it's not outward.
Behind the scenes, that's right, because he still does care about it.
Yeah.
He still cares about that. It was just proven that another negative mark on 2012, Lance Armstrong is really a doper and won all those titles under the wrong.
Well, we probably have a couple more negatives yet. Number 3. Our story of the year is the NFL bounties. What do we know for sure? We know that Sean Payton was suspended for the year. We know that they were 0-4. They're no longer, although I bet Dallas is wishing they were playing someone else Sunday.
That's kind of dangerous. That is kind of dangerous.
But let's talk a little bit about it. It's a he said thing from day one. Now coaches are turning on each other because they want to coach in this league again. See, this is what people don't understand, Albert. Like in college football, no pension. Pro football, there's a pension. These guys are lifers in that NFL, these assistants. They're doing rather well.
Major pension. And Greg Williams, as the name comes up, he's the guy continually says, I'll snitch, I'll tell you everything if you let me back in the league. He wants to coach again for that pension, for that notoriety, and he's snitching any way he can to get it. And then the commissioners, they go together and one overrules the other. That was interesting.
What happened? The players have always said the thing they don't like about many things about Goodell is he's judge and jury. Well, that'd be like me saying, Albert, I'm suspending you for 4 games. You go, okay, I'm appealing. And I go, okay, I'll hear it. You're like, wait a minute. So they go and they think he's going to rubber stamp Tagliabue is going to rubber stamp, and he does not. He throws the suspensions out and says the culpability's with the team.
Yeah, and that was very interesting that Paul Tagliabue said, hey, everything I hear here goes against what you said. But then it adds more to it because immediately now the New Orleans players are rattled, and the main guy in it, Vilma says, hey, you're messing with my character. I'm taking it a step farther.
He's suing for defamation.
Yes.
And you know what? The fact that this came from the league and the fact that the league basically said the coaches were responsible, he's liable to get a nice sum of money for that.
He probably will.
And remember, one of those guys were the worst. One of them didn't find work. There were 4 of them, and one of those guys didn't find work. He's the guy that lost the most.
Yeah.
The other guys found work.
And Vilma, I don't think he's in it for the money. He's probably going to get some. I'm hoping he's not in it for the money. He says he's in it for his name, which is much more important than the money he's making.
Right,
yes.
Exactly. All right, number 4 is the one that could have been number 1 if you have a child playing. Matter of fact, I was just coming here today and I was listening, and somebody had asked Troy Polamalu, they said, would you want your son to play football? And I don't know that he could answer it honestly.
Yeah, most of them cannot answer honestly.
Concussions.
The size of the players has now dominated for the first time the equipment. They can't keep up equipment-wise with these 6'3", 235-pound safeties who are running 4.4 full speed, collisioning guys with their helmets, and the NFL usually can find an answer. They can't find an answer to this, George. There are hits every Sunday with the shoulder pads. The flag goes up. They did nothing wrong. They just tackled somebody. They're trying so hard.
Back.
They're trying so hard to protect people. I don't know how they can do it with the size.
You know, the only thing that bothers me is when they speak out of both sides of their mouth. They talk about concussions. Then the next time, you know, the Ravens are playing 3 games in 18 days. Then they want to make the field, or they want to make the season 18 games, and they want to finish on President's Day. Now, something doesn't go together there.
Yeah, and if you've played football and YSU, some of my old teammates, you know you're not feeling good till Wednesday. You know, you play on a Saturday. Well, on Sunday, they're not feeling good till Thursday. And sometimes those teams play on Sunday. They're just feeling right playing like on Thursday. They're playing again that night. Your body's not ready for it. They keep talking about Thursday night football. All these things add up, George. They do talk out of both sides of their mouth.
Let's talk about some of the famous people. Alex Karras had dementia at his death. Junior Seau, they've been working on checking. I mean, some of these guys, Dave Duerson, they've donated their brains basically to science. I think at one time, the old center for the Steelers, Mike Webster, his son was spearheading this study to try to get these people to donate their brains after, because they're finding that many of these people from repeated hits to the head have basically caused their early demise.
And we're talking about the running start people, those big hits over the middle. Well, every play, linemen are going helmet to helmet, and they're so big.
Yeah, nobody talks about that.
They're so big and powerful. They're getting hit also. You're talking about Alex Karras of the world, Mike Webb. They played the line.
How about the head slap back in the day?
Just kill you with that. I mean, this is full speed, and this is 290-pound people hitting you.
They have their hand wrapped like a club.
Yeah, no question.